Have you ever heard of the psychedelic tea brew ayahuasca? This traditional Amazonian tea is made up of the stem and bark of one vine and the leaves of another natural plant. Recent literature suggests ayahuasca as a healing plant for emotional related issues such as depression, anxiety, addiction, and post-traumatic stress disorder. In this presentation, we will look at the physiological effects of ayahuasca, as well as 3 studies which have looked at the effects of ayahuasca on some mental health conditions. There is usually a half-an-hour wait period between the consumption of the tea and the effects of the tea being felt. The peak of the effect is usually felt between 60 minutes to 120 minutes after consumption, with the effects subsiding at around 4 to 6 hours. If you're wanting to hear more about personal stories of individuals taking ayahuasca, I've included some links in the video description below. After watching some of those videos, you may be able to understand the healing effects of ayahuasca, but here is a quick overview of some scientific studies. Ayahuasca and its active ingredient DMT have anxiolytic properties. On a physiological level, DMT works as a partial agonist to 5-HT receptors, which are also known as our serotonin receptors. These, of course, are a key component of many different mental health concerns. There have been some neuroimaging studies which show that ayahuasca increases blood perfusion in many brain regions, which are involved in introspection and emotional processing. These together may suggest a physiological basis of ayahuasca use for mental health issues. In 2020, a study of 40 participants who had never used ayahuasca were given the tea brew and were assessed with the MINI multiple times. They found nearly half the sample met the diagnosis criteria for some form of psychiatric disorder, with the most common being generalized anxiety disorder. At 1-month follow-up, 61% of participants who initially met a diagnosis no longer met the criteria, and 22.2% of participants showed a decrease in the number of psychiatric disorders from their previously met diagnosis criteria. Overall, 83.2% of participants reported a clinical improvement. This improvement lasted for the 6-month follow-up. There have been many studies suggesting that ayahuasca has a rapid antidepressant effect on treatment-resistant depression. One study compared the effects of those who had consumed ayahuasca against a placebo group 1 day, 2 days, and 7 days after dosing. They found that after a single dose of ayahuasca, there was a rapid antidepressant effect compared to those within the placebo group. Similarly, a study of 57 participants partaking in ayahuasca ceremonies found that scores of depression and stress significantly decreased after the ayahuasca ceremony, and these changes persisted for at least 4 weeks. These are just a few of the current studies suggesting ayahuasca's effects on emotion. The healing potential of this tea should be further researched in hopes of helping those with mental health concerns. With mental health being such a prominent issue in today's society, it is of great importance that more research be conducted into the use of this emerging plant medicine.